In my past life, I gave up my guaranteed flight and braved the torrential rain to deliver my best friend her admission ticket. She turned around and filmed the video, crying that I had deliberately dawdled and ruined her exam. The video racked up millions of views, and the internet piled on with overwhelming abuse. My parents' hair turned white overnight, and they both ended up in the ICU. When I opened my eyes again, there was a frantic message on my phone. Nyen nyen, I left my admission ticket in the classroom, can you go get it for me? I turned off my phone and fastened my seatbelt. As the plane took off, I smiled. June 7th, 5:43 a.m. Pei Nyenyu was jolted awake by a violent bumping motion. Her back of the head had knocked against the car window, and the sharp pain pierced through her temples. She instinctively raised a hand to touch it, fingertips meeting the cold glass. Outside, the sky was dim and gray, and the orange glow of the streetlights kept receding one by one. In the front passenger seat, Su Rong turned back to glance at her. You're awake, sleep a little longer, there are still 40 minutes before we get to the airport. Airport, those two words hit her ears, and the blood in Pei Nyenyu's body seemed to have been frozen by a pause button. She looked down at herself, her school uniform, a white shirt, a navy pleated skirt, and the 4 characters, Zhenhua High School, embroidered on the left chest. A silver school badge was pinned to her chest, with the number Class 17, Grade 2024, on it. On her feet were a pair of white canvas shoes, with the laces tied neatly and properly. She held out her hand and turned it over, slender knuckles, with no scars. The burned scar from her previous life that had run from her wrist to the web between her thumb and index finger was gone. That was the burn she got from a hot water kettle while taking care of her mother in the hospital. Pei Nyenyu's pupils suddenly tightened. Nyenyu, Pei Jiang'an, who was driving, glanced at her through the rearview mirror. What's wrong? You look a little pale. She opened her mouth, but her vocal cords seemed to be rusted. The voice she managed was dry and hoarse. What day is it? June 7th, the first day of the college entrance exam, Pei Jiang'an said with a laugh. You're a direct admission student, so you don't have to sit the exam, yet you're more nervous than anyone. June 7, the first day of the college entrance examination, the day she was supposed to report to Tsinghua University. It was also the day Qingyao forgot to bring her admission ticket. Pei Nyenyu's hands began to shake. She clenched her skirt, her fingernails digging into her palm. That pain was real, burning all the way up along the nerves and through the locked gate of her memory. Scenes from her previous life surged in like a flood, her figure running to school in the pouring rain, her soaked hair plastered to her face, her shoes filled with water, each step making a squelching, squish, squish sound. The expression on Qingyao's face when she took the exam admission ticket at the entrance to the test center. Her eyes were red, her lips pressed tightly together, her voice trembling. Nyen nyen, thank you, you're my best friend. What happened later? Later, she missed her flight. The counselor from Tsinghua University called, and his tone shifted from gentle to businesslike. Student Pei, there is a specified time for registration. You did not explain the reason for your absence in advance. We need to report this situation to the college. She still wasn't panicking at the time. She thought that as long as she explained everything clearly, it would be fine. What truly brought everything crashing down was that video 3 days later. Qingyao cried into the camera, her makeup smudged, the tip of her nose red, her voice breaking in sobs. I called her countless times to urge her, and she kept saying she was on the way. On the way. By the time she got her admission ticket, the exam had already been going on for 40 minutes. I know she's an exempted admittee, she doesn't have to take the exam, so she didn't care at all. The comments section exploded. What kind of trash friend is this? Just because you're not taking the exam, does that mean you can disregard someone else's future? People who get guaranteed admission will never understand the pain of ordinary students. People like this deserve to have their guaranteed admission revoked. 1 million views, 1 million within 3 days. Pei Nyenyu's name, school, and the university she was guaranteed admission to were all dug up. Tsinghua University received hundreds of complaint letters. Her character is questionable and she is not suitable for guaranteed admission. The guaranteed admission quota was revoked. On the day the news came, Pei Jiang'an failed to catch his breath and collapsed straight in the living room. Su Rong cried so hard she could barely breathe, and her blood pressure shot up to 200. After which she was carried away by an ambulance. And what about Qingyao? Pei Nyenyu sent her 97 messages, every single one of them vanished without a trace. For the 98th message, the system prompt said, the other party has blocked you. Nyen nyen, nyen nyen. Su Rong's voice pulled her back to reality. What are you spacing out about? Your face is as pale as this. Pei Nyenyu gasped sharply. The air inside the car carried the smell of leather seats, mixed with the faint gardenia perfume on Su Rong. The radio was airing the morning news, the host speaking in a steady pace. Today is the first day of the 2024 National College Entrance Examination, and it is expected that 32,000 candidates across the city will enter the test centers. Her phone lit up, a WeChat message popped up on the screen. The profile picture was a pink bunny, and the note name was marked, Yao Yao. Nian Nian, I left my admission ticket in the classroom, can you help me go get it, immediately? After the second message, please, Nian Nian, I only realized I forgot it when I got to the exam center. The classroom key is with the class monitor, and I can't get in touch with her. You're close to the school, could you help me pick it up? The third message was a string of crying face emojis. The fourth message said, you're the one I trust the most. Pei Nianyu stared at these 4 messages, her finger pressed against the screen, motionless. What was her first reaction when she saw these messages in her previous life? She remembered it very clearly. Without even thinking, she shouted, Dad, turn around. Yao Yao forgot to bring her admission ticket. Pei Jiang'an said nothing and immediately turned the steering wheel. Su Rong, in the front passenger seat, was so anxious that she kept wringing her hands, muttering, then hurry up, or you'll be late for the exam. Your flight. Just change it, change it. It's fine to spend a little money. They didn't even hesitate for a second, because they were good people, because they believed helping a friend was only right and proper. Because they didn't know that the girl named Cheng Yao would use a video to ruin their daughter's life, and, along the way, send them to the hospital. Nianyu, Su Rong really turned around, and on her face was an expression Pei Nianyu knew all too well, anxious, kind, and unreservedly well-meaning. Did your friend forget their admission ticket? Then let's, no. Pei Nianyu's voice was not loud, but it was extraordinarily steady. The car fell silent for a moment. Pei Jiang'an looked at her in the rearview mirror. Su Rong was also stunned. Nian Nian, I said I'm not going. Pei Nianyu locked her phone, tucked it into the side pocket of her backpack, and zipped it up. We're already on the road. It's too late to go back. If she's in a hurry, she can call the police or find a teacher. Su Rong opened her mouth. But, she's your best friend. What if she, Mom? Pei Nianyu raised her head. Su Rong met her daughter's eyes, and the words on the tip of her tongue got stuck. There was no hesitation, no conflict, no panic that an 18-year-old girl should have when facing a friend's plea for help. There was only a strange calmness that did not belong to someone her age. My flight takes off at 8:30, Pei Nianyu said word by word. I've waited 3 years for the registration at Huqing University. She paused for a moment, her voice softening, yet becoming even more resolute. No one's admission ticket is worth me trading mine for. The carriage fell silent for a few seconds. Pei Jiang'an glanced at Su Rong. Su Rong pressed her lips together, turned back around, and said nothing more. The steering wheel was not turned. The car continued forward along the airport expressway. The phone buzzed a few more times in the backpack. Pei Nianyu didn't take it out to look. She knew that was Cheng Yao's barrage of follow-up questions. In my previous life, those messages filled 2 screens, their tone shifting from pleading to impatience, and finally into tearful voice messages. Nian Nian, where exactly are you? I'm about to go into the exam room. She had been so anxious that she was drenched in sweat and almost slipped and fell in the rain. Looking back now, it seems there was still a barely perceptible hint hidden at the end of those voice messages. What was it? Proud, Dad, drive a little faster. Pei Nianyu leaned back in his seat and closed his eyes. I want to get there early. Pei Jiang'an pressed the accelerator. The sky outside had brightened a little, with a gap torn open in the clouds. Light leaked through, spreading over the asphalt of the highway, shimmering brightly. At 6:45, I arrived at the airport. When Pei Nianyu dragged her suitcase into the departure hall, her phone lit up again. This time it wasn't WeChat, it was a phone call. Caller ID, Yao Yao. She stood in front of the check-in counter, her thumb hovering over the answer button, and paused for 2 seconds. Then she pressed reject. The screen went dark. She looked up at the check-in agent and smiled. Hello, I'd like to check in with my ID card. Pei Nianyu. After checking in and going through security, she sat on the plastic chair at the boarding gate and switched her phone to airplane mode. Before turning on airplane mode, she saw Cheng Yao's last message. Pei Nianyu, are you even human? We've been best friends for 12 years, and you won't even help me when I can't find my admission ticket. Do you think you're so great just because you've already been recommended for admission? Pei Nianyu stared at that message for 5 seconds, then I typed 5 characters. Call the police yourself. Sent. Flight mode. An announcement sounded. Passengers on flight CA 1893 to Jingzhou, Please line up at gate 22 for boarding. Pei Nianyu stood up, pulled up the handle of her suitcase, and walked into the jet bridge. The sky outside the window was already fully bright. Heat was rising from the runway, distorting the outline of the terminal building in the distance. She found her seat, sat down, fastened her seat belt, and pulled the window shade all the way up. The plane's engines let out a low roar, and the fuselage began to taxi. Pei Nianyu watched the ground outside the window grow farther and farther away, smaller and smaller, the city beneath her feet, the place where she had grown up, the place where she had once desperately run around helping someone who wasn't worth it, was turning in her sight into a miniature sand table. A sour ache welled up in her nose. She bit the tip of her tongue and forced that ache back down. In her previous life, at this very time, she was squatting at the entrance of the duty room at Zhenhua High School, soaked through, waiting for the class monitor to come and open the classroom door. In this life, she was at an altitude of 30,000 feet, with a faint smell of coffee in the cabin as the flight attendant pushed the meal cart. "Miss, would you like coffee or orange juice?" "Orange juice, thank you." She took the cup and took a sip. It was sweet and cold, chilling her from the tip of her tongue all the way down to her stomach. Delicious. Pei Nianyu leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. This time, no one would make her turn back. The flight landed at Taiyuan Airport in Jingzhou at 10:12 a.m. When Pei Nianyu walked out of the arrivals hall, the June sunlight came crashing down on her head, and heat rose up from the gaps between the floor tiles. She narrowed her eyes, stood by the curb pulling her suitcase, and took out her phone to turn off airplane mode. Messages flooded in like a downpour, unread on WeChat. 47 messages, 31 of them were from Qingyao. The first 10 messages were all urging me to hurry, with an urgent tone, mixed with voice messages and text. Starting with the 11th message, the tone changed. "Are you deliberately not answering your phone, Pei Nianyu? You've changed." The 15th message, "I've already found my admission ticket. Zhang Ting opened the door for me, but I was 8 minutes late. Do you know what 8 minutes means? Can't you reply to my messages a little faster?" The 20th message, "I totally messed up my first exam. Are you happy now?" The last one was sent 10 minutes ago, and it contained only 4 words. "Just you wait." Pei Nianyu read through all of these messages from beginning to end. In her previous life, she had never seen any of this, because in her previous life, she delivered it. She ran 3 blocks in a torrential downpour, slipped on a puddle and fell, scraping her knee until it bled, then got back up and kept running. The class monitor opened the classroom door, and she got her admission ticket, hailed a taxi, and rushed to the exam venue, arriving 17 minutes before the exam started. Qingyao was not late, but she still botched the exam. The last 2 big questions on the math paper were left blank, and half the answers on the English closed test were wrong. On the day the scores came out, the total score was only 3 points above the first-tier university cutoff. Then Qingyao posted that video. She cried into the camera, saying that Pei Nianyu had held her back. She said that because Pei Nianyu was dawdling, she was 20 minutes late and completely lost her composure. 20 minutes. The fact was that I arrived 17 minutes earlier, not a minute late, but in the video, the numbers had been changed. No one verified it. With 1 million views, the truth cannot outrun lies. Pei Nianyu put his phone back in his pocket and took a deep breath. Qingyao found her admission ticket. Zhang Ting helped open the door for her. She was 8 minutes late. 8 minutes. This number is different from the one in her previous life. In her previous life, Pei Nianyu personally went to get the admission ticket and delivered it to the exam hall, and Qingyao didn't even arrive a minute late. And what happened? She still flunked the exam and still shifted the blame. In this life, Pei Nianyu didn't go, and Qingyao was 8 minutes late, so what score would she get? Pei Nianyu suddenly wanted to know. No rush, let's go check in first. Huaqing University is in the western part of Jingzhou City, and it takes an hour and a half by subway. She dragged her suitcase and changed trains twice, transferring from line 3 to line 7, and got out at the Huaqing Road station. The exit was right opposite the south gate of Huaqing University. In her previous life, she had never seen this gate. The gate wall was built of gray bricks, with tall French plane trees on both sides. Their leaves layered so densely they formed a dome overhead, and sunlight filtered through the gaps, scattering shards of gold across the ground. Above the lintel were 4 large characters, Huaqing University. The calligraphy was ancient and elegant, with sharp, forceful strokes. It was said to have been personally written by the university president in the year the school was founded. Pei Nianyu stood at the doorway, looking up for a long time. In her previous life, these 4 words were a blurry photo on her phone wallpaper. She had seen them in the news. in promotional videos, and on the cover of her admission letter. She had just never seen them in real life. It was right in front of her now, built of stone, with its texture tangible to the touch. She reached out and touched the wall by the door. The rough, sun-heated texture came through at her fingertips. Her nose stung again. She blinked hard twice and dragged her suitcase inside. The registration process went very smoothly. The counselor was a young male teacher wearing metal-rimmed glasses, and when he smiled, his eyes curved into crescents. He introduced himself as He Ming, classmate Pei Nianyu. Did you bring all the required documents? Yes. Pei Nianyu handed over the document folder. He Ming flipped through them, checked them one by one, and finally put a checkmark on the roster. All right, you're the earliest one to register today. Your dorm is 207 in North Building 3. Get the key from the dorm manager. He looked up at her and asked, you came alone? Your parents didn't come with you? My parents are busy with work and couldn't get away. In fact, Pei Jiang'an and Su Rong had originally planned to take time off to accompany her, but Pei Nianyu refused. She couldn't explain why. Perhaps it was because of that final memory from her previous life. Su Rong lying on an ICU hospital bed, her face ashen, an oxygen tube inserted into her nostrils, her hands covered in bruised needle marks. Pei Jiang'an sat on a plastic chair in the hallway, his head buried in his knees, his shoulders shaking. His hair had turned completely white in just 3 days. Pei Nianyu didn't want to make them worry. All she could do now was stand here, standing at Tsinghua University. Properly, Beisan Dormitory was an old 6-story building, with the hallway filled with the smell of laundry detergent and old wood. Room 207 was around the corner on the 2nd floor. Pushing the door open, there were 4 sets of bunk beds, and by the desk near the window sat a girl, stacking books into the cabinet. Hearing the door, the girl turned to look over. Round face, short hair, a large pair of headphones hanging around her neck, and a black t-shirt with "Game Over" printed on it. You're in 207, Pei Nianyu, Jin Shuedong. The girl grinned at her, revealing a little canine tooth. Just call me Tong Tong. Which bunk do you want? The lower bunk by the window is still available. Pei Nianyu put down her luggage and sat on the lower bunk by the window. The mattress was a little hard, but clean, and the bedding, dried in the sun, had a warm, cozy smell. She suddenly felt at ease. It was real. She was really sitting in the dormitory of Tsinghua University. The phone buzzed again. She took it out and saw her mom's message. Su Rong, did you get there? How's the dorm? Is there hot water? Is the cafeteria far away? Pei Nianyu let out a soft laugh and typed back, I'm here. The dorm is a 4-person room. There's hot water, and the cafeteria is downstairs. Don't worry. Su Rong replied instantly. That's good. That's good. By the way, about that thing with Qing Yao, what did she say afterward? Pei Nianyu's fingers froze above the screen. What did she say? Just wait and see. She thought for a moment and replied, it's okay. She found it herself. Don't worry about it, Mom. Su Rong sent a hugging emoji, then sent another message. Remember to eat dinner tonight. Don't skimp on money. Pei Nianyu closed WeChat and opened Qing Yao's chat box. That, just you wait, was still sitting at the bottom, black background with white text. She stared at it for 3 seconds. In her previous life, Qing Yao had said something similar. In the pinned comments section of that video with over 1 million views, Qing Yao replied to a netizen, I just wanted everyone to know the truth. The truth. Pei Nianyu scrolled the chat box all the way to the top and started reading from the first message, one by one, all the way down, from the time we added each other as friends in 6th grade, all the way to the last, good luck tomorrow, on the eve of our senior year college entrance exam. Thousands of messages, spanning 6 years. She had never carefully looked through these chat records before, but now, with the memories of her previous life, looking at them again, some things had become glaringly obvious. For example, in 2nd year of middle school, the essay she wrote won first prize at the city level. The message Qing Yao sent was, wow, Nian Nian, you're amazing, followed by a string of clapping emojis. But 2 minutes before that message, what had Qing Yao said in another group, the one Pei Nianyu hadn't been added to? She didn't know. In the last 3 months of her previous life, a girl named Zhang Ting had come to see her and, stammering, said a few things. Nianyu, actually, Qing Yao, back in middle school, that essay of yours that won an award. She told quite a few people that she was the one who revised it for you. The version you wrote yourself was basically no good. When Zhang Ting said this, Pei Nianyu was lying on the bed in her rented room, so thin that only a layer of skin remained on her face. She no longer had the strength to verify it, but now she had time on her hands. Pei Nianyu exited the chat interface, opened her Notes app, and created a new note, typing 3 words in the title, Old Ledger. On the day the college entrance exam results were announced, Pei Nianyu was sitting by the window on the 3rd floor of the Tsinghua University Library. With a copy of Advanced Mathematics spread open in front of her, outside the window was the playground, where a few boys were playing basketball. The sound of the ball hitting the ground came up one bounce at a time, mingling with the chirping of cicadas. The phone screen suddenly lit up repeatedly. The high school classmates group chat exploded. The results are out. Has anyone checked? The provincial first-year cutoff is 527. It's over. It's over. I totally bombed math. Pei Nianyu had no scores to check. She was an admitted student and didn't take the college entrance exam, but she scrolled through the group chat and found the information she wanted to see. Someone had taken a screenshot of the report card and posted it in the group chat, a long list of names and scores arranged by total score. Her gaze swept from top to bottom. Qingyao, total score, 498, cutoff for the first-year line, 527, 29 points short. Pei Nianyu stared at that number, her thumb lightly rubbing across the screen. 498. In her previous life, Qingyao scored 501, 3 points above the first-year cutoff, but only enough to get into an obscure major at a bottom-tier first-tier university. I was 8 minutes late in this life and lost 3 points, only a 3-point gap. 8 minutes late, 3 points lost. In other words, compared with her previous life, when Pei Nianyu did everything he could to get her exam admission ticket there and not let her be late by even a minute, the result was only 3 points different. 3 points couldn't change anything. Qingyao's level is just that level, whether she was late or not. It was the same level. So the accusation in the video from my previous life, where she cried and said, I did badly on the exam, and it's all her fault, from beginning to end, it was just a lie. The group chat was still buzzing noisily about the scores. Someone mentioned Qingyao. Yao. How much did you score? It took Qingyao a long time to reply, her tone flat. I underperformed. I don't want to talk about it. No one pressed further, but Pei Nianyu noticed that Qingyao immediately sent a second message, in another small group chat she didn't usually pay attention to. The screenshot had been privately forwarded to her by Zhang Ting. Qingyao, I could actually have done better. Something unexpected happened on the day of the college entrance exam, and I completely lost my composure. Someone asked, what unexpected thing? Qingyao, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, some people, once they get admitted through recommendation, just pretend not to see whether others live or die. Zhang Ting added a message, Nianyu, take a look at this. Pei Nianyu enlarged the screenshot and looked at it once. A slight smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Here it came. Sure enough, it had come. In my previous life, it was tearful confession videos with millions of views. In this life, it was sarcastic jabs in a small group chat. The scale was smaller, but the tactics were exactly the same. First, they played the victim, then they veiledly pointed at the culprit. Pei Nianyu thought for a moment and sent Zhang Ting a reply. Got it, thanks for telling me. Zhang Ting sent a hesitant emoji. Aren't you angry? What's the point of being angry? Pei Nianyu typed. If she wants to say it, let her. Zhang Ting didn't reply again. Pei Nianyu put down her phone and continued reading the book Advanced Mathematics, but her eyes swept across the same line of formulas 3 times, and she didn't take in a single word. She was thinking about one question. In her previous life, Qingyao posted that video 3 days after the exam results were released. The video was made very carefully. The background was her own bedroom. The lighting was warm. She appeared on camera wearing a white t-shirt and no makeup, crying so hard that pear blossoms were drenched by rain, yet speaking clearly and coherently, every sentence sounding as if it had been rehearsed. Could a girl who had just received her college entrance exam results and was supposedly utterly heartbroken make a video of that quality within 3 days? Pei Nianyu had never thought about this question in her previous life. She had been too busy proving her innocence, but now, looking back across the distance of a lifetime, the loopholes were so huge that a train could have driven right through them. Qingyao said that Pei Nianyu had made her 20 minutes late. In fact, she wasn't late by even a minute. There was surveillance at the entrance to the exam center. In her previous life, Pei Nianyu never had the chance to check the surveillance footage. Just as she found the exam center's academic affairs office, a tidal wave of online abuse hit her. Tsinghua University swiftly cancelled her guaranteed admission, and her world collapsed within 72 hours. But this life, she had time now. Pei Nianyu opened the memo and added a new line under Old Ledger, exam site surveillance, entry time, then added another line. The video says 20 minutes late. verify the actual entry time, add one more line. Was the admission ticket forgotten in the classroom, or deliberately left in the classroom? Her fingertips paused slightly as her pen fell on this line. This thought had never once crossed my mind in my previous life, but after being reborn, with all my memories intact, I replayed every detail of that morning in my mind. Why had Qingyao's admission ticket been left in the classroom? The night before the college entrance exam, the school had organized a unified exam supplies check. Homeroom teacher Mr. Lin checked each student's admission ticket, ID card, and pencil case one by one, and only after confirming everything was correct did he let them go home. Qingyao's admission ticket was still in her hands the night before. After checking it, she put it into her backpack. The next morning, when she was about to leave, it was gone. How could this possibly be forgotten unless someone took the admission ticket back out of their backpack after checking it and put it back in the classroom? Who would do that? Pei Nianyu closed her eyes. The answer was too absurd, so absurd that when she first thought of it, her stomach lurched. What if Qingyao deliberately left her admission ticket in the classroom? The purpose was to get Pei Nianyu to deliver it, to make Pei Nianyu miss the flight, because she knew Pei Nianyu had been guaranteed admission to Tsinghua, because she couldn't stand Pei Nianyu going to Huaqing. Pei Nianyu opened her eyes. The sunlight outside the library window was glaringly white, stinging her eyes until they grew sore. She bolded the last line of the memo, "Find Teacher Lin and confirm the pre-exam check process." A week later, she called Teacher Lin. She called at noon. Teacher Lin was eating a boxed lunch in his office, and when he heard Pei Nianyu's voice, his chopsticks almost fell onto the table. "Nianyu, how are things at Tsinghua? Are you getting used to it?" "Very well, teacher." "Lin, I wanted to ask you something." Go ahead. For the materials inspection the night before the college entrance examination, did you check Qingyao's admission ticket?" There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line. "I checked, yes, I checked them one by one, matched the names to the seats, and only left after signing off when I was done. Qingyao's admission ticket was fine, so what's wrong?" "After the check, did the students go straight home?" "Yes, after the check, school was over. Did anyone go back to the classroom?" Teacher Lin thought for a moment. There actually was. Qingyao seemed to say she forgot her cup in the classroom and went back to get it once. I even waited a few minutes for her before locking the door. Pei Nianyu tightened her grip on the phone. "Nianyu, why do you ask that?" "Nothing, I just suddenly remembered." "Thanks, Teacher Lin." She hung up the phone. A thin layer of sweat broke out on my palms. I forgot the cup. Went back to get the cup. Then the admission ticket was transferred from the backpack to the classroom. Pei Nianyu wrote the latest information in her memo, then locked the screen. She closed her eyes, leaned back against the library chair, and took a deep breath. Outside the window, the sound of a basketball hitting the ground kept going. One bounce, then another, then another. "Qingyao, how much do you hate me?" Exactly, at the beginning of July, the summer heat was so oppressive it left people wilted. Pei Nianyu spent 3 days holed up in the Tsinghua University Library, sorting through every chat record, every photo, and every memory she could think of involving Qingyao over the past 6 years, all arranged in chronological order. The result was horrifying: the grade 8 essay competition. The essay that Pei Nianyu won first prize in at the city level with was titled, "Walking Around the Corner." When she was told she had won in front of the school bulletin board, Qingyao stood beside her, clapping and saying, "Nian Nian, you're amazing." But later Zhang Ting said that Qingyao had privately told at least 3 people that she had helped revise the core paragraph of that article, and that the version Pei Nianyu wrote herself was completely unsalvageable. Pei Nianyu noted this down in her memo. Freshman sports meet. Pei Nianyu signed up for the 800-meter race, and Qingyao held her water bottle for her. 10 minutes before the race, Qingyao handed it to her. "I added glucose to it to help replenish your energy." Pei Nianyu drank it. Then when she got to the 400-meter mark, she had a stomach cramp and squatted by the track to vomit. The school doctor said it was because she had drank highly concentrated sugar water on an empty stomach, which irritated her stomach lining. She withdrew from the competition that time. Qingyao held her up beside her, her eyes red. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have added so much sugar for you." At the time, Pei Nianyu comforted her. It's okay, it's not your fault. Now that I think about it, high concentration sugar water, on an empty stomach, 10 minutes before the competition, was that concern, or precise poisoning? At the end of her sophomore year, Pei Nianyu lost her English notes. It was the notebook she had spent an entire semester organizing, containing all her grammar summaries and wrong answers. It went missing 3 days before the final exams. She searched the classroom and her home from top to bottom, but Couldn't find it. Qing Yao helped her look for it all afternoon, and in the end said, maybe the cleaning lady took it away as trash. On the final exams, Pei Nianyu's English ranking dropped from 1st in the grade to 9th. What about Qing Yao? She went from 15th in the grade to 7th. English. Pei Nianyu listed these things one by one in her memo. The text on the screen grew denser and denser.